Greetings, maniacs, New Englanders, and everyone else. I hope this video finds you well, and if you're like me, well, I'm just gonna restart. Greetings, Mainers, New Englanders, and everyone else. I hope this video finds you well. You may notice that the only thing that's changed about me is this scarf. My last video I posted about spooky things in Maine, and yes, I am following up and filming immediately for a video that's getting released on another day. It's how the algorithm works, and I'm a working man, so I gotta film when I can, where I can, and the more I film in little bursts like this, the more it allows me to focus some time on research to get some more videos out there. Now, where I'm newer on YouTube, it's better to be consistent for the first 3 months. And then after that, when I have an establishment of videos, things can slow down a little bit. So this first 3 months, but especially early on, I'm going to be figuring out how the algorithm works for me, how it works for you guys, the kind of content y'all want, the kind of form, short or long form that works for everyone. That's all going to be up for debate. So comment down below what you like the most, what kind of stories you like the most, and which kind of form you like the most. As always, if you have some criticism, just keep it polite, please. Currently, I am bringing a Fluff Piece by B98.5, Central Maine's Country. I say it's a fluff piece because, one, it's short, and two, it's basic AF. But I am going to follow it up with some actual practical advice. So, this is written by Rob on October 13th. Of course, I'll have the link below. 5 important things all Maine homeowners should do before winter. And as all Mainers know, unless you're an infant or you are brand new to the state, which at that point you can't really call yourself Mainers if you're brand new. The only ones that can be brand new that can call themselves Mainers are infants, and they have a lot to learn, so we're not going to count them in this. So if you're new to Maine, this article will be helpful, I guess. If you're from Maine, you'll laugh at this list like what happened in the comments. I didn't participate in the comments in these because it speaks for itself. This article's like 300 words long. Like, I could have written that while burping. Okay, sorry, Rob. That little resurgence of warm weather in New England as we slid into October was a nice treat, especially since most of us feel that we got robbed of summer this year. However, don't let that trick your subconscious. The shorter and much colder days will be here before you know it. A lot of us have both busy and cautious of spending. With those two things combined, it's easy to forget or just ignore proper steps to winterize your home. But neglecting some of these things can often end up costing you even more money, not to mention causing stress. Which he's not wrong. It's just very simple. These are a few of the most important things that all homeowners who experience a good old northern New England winter can do to make sure things are locked up and loaded. Some of them won't even cost you a dime. Number 1, check your windows. According to the Department of Energy, heat loss through windows is responsible for 25 to 30% of heating energy. Let that one sink in, especially with the cost of current heating. Pretty soon, you'll be able to hover your hand over your windows to check for drafts. If it's a chilly night and you don't feel that cold air creeping through the cracks, there's a good chance your windows are nice and insulated for another winter. If you do happen to feel that chill, don't panic. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to replace all of your windows. Weather stripping can be a simple and affordable temporary fix until it's actually time to replace them. Number 2, Check your gutters. Gutters oftentimes fall in the category of out of sight, out of mind. After all, they are located up by the roof. Gutters are put in a place for important purpose. They are responsible for draining the water from your roof. But they can get clogged easily with debris, leaves, and dirt. Think about the astronomical amount of rainfall we had this year. There's a good chance you have a plant life growing up there, or even a dead animal. Dead animals grow. Any and all of these blockages can result in a damaged exterior and even a flooded interior. So it's highly recommended that you check them to see if they need to be cleaned. If you're Clark Griswold on the ladder, you may want to hire a professional. And I guess that's this individual that he's calling out and making fun of. Also, it looks like he needs more of an extension cord. Number 3, drain and disconnect your hose. Disconnect your hose before temperatures begin to get down in the freezing zone. Why? Who's asking why? What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is your hose can freeze. And you might be thinking, well, it's outside. True, but suddenly you can have ice in the spigot, which can lead to the pipes inside your home. Okay, I guess he's thinking if it's still connected. It's definitely not going to get into your house if it's not connected. But even, I'm just reading the article. Ignoring this can cause frozen water to continue to expand until it bursts the actual pipe that leads to the spigot itself, which can be a big problem. This is an easy one that could save you a lot of stress and a lot of money. 4, get your furnace checked by a professional. It's generally good practice to get your heating system inspected by a professional once a year, and this is typically around the best time to do it. One thing you can do on your own is check the filter to make sure it's clean. Now is not a good time. Everyone's doing it. If you try to do it right now, you're going to be waiting until January. This would have been better advice in July or August. Granted, this might be... No, okay, it's October 13th. So some of these services you're going to find you can't hire out because people do that in the spring. I mean, you think a whole year ahead. Okay, I'm just reading the article. Number 4. Nope. Okay, continuing number 4. There are several issues that could need some professional attention that you might not even know about. Your belts connected to the blower could be worn or damaged, or your heating ducts could be blocked. Getting your furnace serviced before it starts working around the clock for you is always a good idea. Number 5, move your outdoor furniture indoors. Yes, it's outdoor furniture, but it's not built to withstand Maine winters. Let's be honest here. Patio furniture is not cheap. You may get away with it for a few seasons, but it will ultimately deteriorate and shorten its lifespan over time. So if you want to get continuous summers out of your outdoor furniture and continue to have it functioning properly, store it in a garage, shed, or basement. If none of those are options, you can get an outdoor furniture cover. They are relatively inexpensive and will likely pay for themselves. Okay, do you see why I called it a fluff piece? Because unless you're from out of state and you don't have common sense, you're going to know those things. Granted, this time of the year is busy for so many people, especially families. And so some of these things you forget to do or you don't have time to do. So my advice on that would have been that don't let things go longer than you expect. Okay, I was trying to click out of a pop-up ad while also giving some advice, which is not recommended. So don't wait too long is what I'm trying to get at. Right now, it's the middle of October. Halloween's coming up. If you have family, if you care about the community, you decorate, you take kids out, you do yada, yada, yada. And then November and Thanksgiving and blast off from there. Well, growing up as a kid, winter could come at any point. I remember when I was Halloween trick-or-treating, and I had to put on costumes over my snow gear. because it was already snowing outside. Not just cold, actual snow. And then you're just this abominable monster thing. But it doesn't matter. You're getting free sugar. And when I was a kid, those kind of things were rare. We didn't have sugar and dessert. We didn't even have dessert every night. It was like 3 times a week. And Halloween candy, like if we didn't well, we were only allowed to eat so much, and then if we didn't finish X amount, it was gone. Like it should be, honestly. So my advice would be to plan ahead. If you have stuff outside that you need to get to, you need to get to it before the snow falls, before it even freezes. And it is getting colder outside. Because sometimes you're like, oh, well, it's just wood. It's sitting there. I can get it to it soon. But then we have one rain and then one freeze, and now it's a pile of ice. And then you can chip away at it, but now it's covered in water, so it's not going to store as well. You have to dry it before you store it, or you have to have it in a place where you can dry it before storing it. And things with chicken coops, just things with trampolines. Trampolines can last the winter. You can have them outside in the winter, but having that stress on it while it's cold is likely to exacerbate the situation. So if you're going to leave a trampoline outside, take off the springs and take off the middle. Leave the frame if you need. Although at that point, it's not that much more work to do. But at least take out the middle, because that's where the biggest deterioration can happen. The water hose is obviously important, but something he doesn't get into is oil, lawnmowers, things, weed whackers, things that you use in the summertime that still have liquid in them. Those liquids can freeze. Those are things that you want to either use up, and there's still plenty of time right now here in central Maine, where I'm at, in the middle of October, to weed whack, to mow, to get some of that done. So use it all up or drain it out and keep it for next year. But don't keep it in the machines themselves, because that can cause damage. I mean, the hose water getting from the spigot into the house, like, I'm sure that can happen. I would have focused my words on something else. I would have made a joke about that and then moved on to something more important. And I keep scratching my neck because this is made of real wool. I knit this myself, actually. And I made this tag. It's all me. But it's itchy as I'll get up. So I'm going to try and keep it away from my neck. I was doing it for the video, for the winter themed. And so things like ACs, obviously, those need to come out. You need to make sure that they're put in a place, they're empty, and they're put into a place where it can be safe. I'm just scrolling through, checking out other people's. I'm not going to reference any of them. Most of these are actually pretty dumb. They're just trying to have stuff to write about, I guess. But it's just, there's a ton of little things that you don't think about, or that right now in this temperature, they're easy to get to, but they won't always be. And if you are new, Maine winters are something you need to be weary of. Maine winters will not kill you, but they will cause many people to struggle if you're not prepared. During the winter, you need to make sure to take plenty of vitamin D, get some vitamin C as well. Go outside as much as you can. I mean, if you're outside and you're completely bundled up and only your face is showing, you're not going to get a whole lot of vitamin D from the sun. So on the warmer days, try and roll up your sleeves. Try and get as much sun exposure. And that goes for even now, because so many of us are starting to hibernate, are starting to get inside. The nights are getting longer and the mornings are coming later. Of course, right around voting season, that's going to change. But for now, and even after, it's up until Christmas, right after Christmas, it gets darker and darker and darker. So getting mentally prepared, having hobbies, things, puzzles, crossword puzzles, knitting, scrapbooking. Check out a local hobby store, see what kind of things, paint by numbers, bedazzle, different things that can occupy your mind and physically keep you doing something. You can have Netflix playing in the background, but do not only Netflix. And don't Netflix and phone. That's essentially the same thing. Engage your mind and your body, and you'll make it through the winter better. And something I always challenge myself on for the winters, this was in my 20s when I thought I hated the winter. I just didn't have the right winter hobbies and I didn't layer correctly. That's another point, layering. I'll get to in a second. Every winter, just challenge yourself to learn something new. There's so many down moments where there's not much going on, and instead of getting bored, instead spend time looking up and learning something you've always wanted to, even if it's just on YouTube, watching videos of someone else doing it. Avoid TikTok. Avoid TikTok. But use YouTube for its best parts, and you can learn from other people, and you can learn yourself. And sometimes it only takes like $50 to $100 in product to try something new, and then it turns out you love it. And 50 to $100 is something that most people spend on a weekend. Maybe not anymore because of the way things are, but typically $100 in a weekend wasn't that far-fetched. And if it's a hobby that keeps you sane and keeps you happy and gets you off of the phone and TikTok, then that's a good thing. So challenge yourself to do something new. And then where I was also going with layering. This is all just kind of winterizing in general, not necessarily even just prepping for winter, but just as it gets colder, wear more layers. Like, don't bulk up so much because no one wants to be the Michelin man, but throw on a wicking long sleeve undershirt and then put on a fun flannel, and then you can have a denim jacket, and you could throw a vest in there somewhere and a scarf, and it could just even be a fun scarf, not one that's necessarily made out of wool, meant to keep you warm. It could be decorative because at that point you'll find that you'll start warming up a lot faster. Leggings, I mean, a lot of people, it seems weird, but a lot of working men will wear some kind of long johns. They don't get called that anymore, but some kind of leggings underneath their work pants because it gets cold, but we still have to keep moving, especially when people are working outside or are working in giant warehouses where it's almost like you're outside. So those are just some tips and tricks, hacks, and just things to be aware of as winter approaches. There are many more things to be aware of. Clean out chicken coops now. And if you do a deep composting, you can keep it clean all winter long without having to empty it. Unless it gets wet, because it was such a rainy winter last year, and you have water rise up and enter your coop, at which case you have to almost immediately change out the shavings to save the lives of your chickens, your egg layers, because your meat birds, they already dead. They in the freezer. More are coming next year. So, and then if you're a gardener, preparing now for next spring is great. Till up the land if you're brand new to a spot. Till it up now. Throw in some, depending on what kind of crops you're trying to raise, blueberries. If you're trying to do blueberries or something acidic, sprinkle it with pine. Throw out pine. Amend the soil for the different crops and different things you're going to try and raise next year. If you have time now, if the kids want to be outside, if you just need to be outside but you're not sure what to do, you know you like gardening in the spring, prepare for it now. Because, I mean, winter comes fast and it hits hard, and then spring comes and there's so much to do. So things like that you can get ahead of, do it. And then also just a personal opinion piece. I don't know that fall cleanup is necessarily that necessary. And I almost think it might be detrimental to the earth because if you think about it, the leaves always fall and they get turned into their base components, minerals and chemicals, absorbed by the earth, and then recycled. Um, we do spring cleanup, and if you have a lawn, you have grass, you're gonna do spring cleanup. But letting those leaves sit over the winter and just drain themselves out of the nutrients and vitamins that they once had that are now leaking into the soil, that's gonna help the soil for next spring. If you're constantly cleaning your lawn so that nothing is on it, you're actually, chances are, this is my opinion, doing more damage than you are doing good because there's no recycling of nutrients and minerals. So, I mean, maybe do an early on fall cleanup where you get maybe huge piles of leaves, but leave some or leave them all. And then next spring, clean them up and then mulch them down and watch as your soil is transformed. Because soil is living too, and it needs nutrients and vitamins. And so do you. So make sure to eat well and drink plenty of water, get lots of sun. Those things will help make your winter not just survivable, but enjoyable. And I'm probably going to have some more tips and tricks for the winter. I've gone through a lot of them here. Winter is an incredible time here in Maine, if you ask me. There's lots to do. I mean, there's whole trails of snowmobile trails, and there's restaurants and cafes and areas that you can only get to on snowmobile that are only for snowmobilers. So things like that are really cool, like little secret hidden places that they're only exclusive to the sport. It's not like you have to be X, Y, and Z and a snowmobiler, although those might exist. I don't know. I'm not a snowmobiler. I just know that those things do exist. Maybe you and I aren't invited, but I think that we are. We just need a snowmobile. And snowmobile responsibly if you do. I live right off of some snowmobile trails, so I appreciate when snowmobilers do it correctly. So this is on the longer side of another video, but I'm glad for you tuning in. Let me know how everything has been going. This is still one of my early videos, so I'm still transforming into who I might be on this channel at some point, and I probably always will be. But for now, just follow up with some comments, some feedback. What did you think of that B98.5 piece? It's pretty fluffy, right? And what are some other things that you guys do for winter prep? How do you prepare for winter, and what kind of traditions or habits do you do? Do you get into things, or do you just kind of push it off until the last second and then blitz it all out? Because I don't really like doing that. I like planning ahead. But I'm not everyone, and everyone has different things. So comment down below, and as always, please like and please subscribe because it really does help reach out more Mainers, and Maine people are dear to my heart. So the more Mainers that can enjoy this, the better. And if you're not a Mainer and you just enjoy winter talk, or you enjoy some sarcasm, you enjoy political, pop culture, philosophy, well then tune in, because this might be the channel for you, and I hope it will be. So until the next video, y'all have a great day.